Welcome back to another week of the 13 Sports Coaches Show. I'm Katie Marr, and this week I'm joined by brand new Topeka West boys basketball coach, Christian Ulsaker. Coach, thanks so much for joining me this week.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we'll kind of start at the beginning. Last season comes to a close. When did you first find out about the Topeka West opening, and how did that opportunity kind of come about for you?
I read Rick Patterson's article online
Always
when it
Rick.
first. uh, it kind of took me for a shock. I've known Coach Bloomquist for many years, going back to the Emporia days. Had the pleasure of playing against him when he was the coach at Emporia, and grew a relationship with him when he moved to Topeka. So I've always known about Topeka West history, basketball wise, and obviously educationally wise, and it piqued my interest definitely when I wanted to always be back in Topeka. That was my the goal and what I've said in the past, and I definitely held true to that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Rick Bloomquist, like you said, he's a coaching legend in the state of Kansas, taking over for a legend like that. Do you ever get the big shoes to fill kind of sense, or are you just making your own way?
Um, I wouldn't say that. I mean, obviously there's a little pressure, but I mean, pressure is always important. It keeps my eye on the prize, so to speak, and it's really nice. I've actually talked to Coach Bloomquist numerous times since I've started the job. I just had a conversation with him yesterday, and I'll see him this weekend. But it's been good to build a relationship outside of just conversation with them. And I'm very lucky that I was coached by, I like to think, a Kansas legend and Coach Kinnaman. And then I'm getting build another relationship with the Kansas legend and Coach Bloomquist. And he's been nothing but spectacular to me. And then obviously to the team, all the kids speak highly of him. Uh, and on top of that, I got to thinking, I was like, what makes a coach a legend? I mean, obviously wins are important, but I've noticed with Coach Bloomquist, it's the relationship he builds and the person he's willing to do things for others, which makes him such a phenomenal, not just coach, but person.
Yeah, what advice has he given you in your conversation since you took the job?
Um, be stern with the players, but also understand that they need to have somebody they can fall back on. Something that they know that they can trust. And by doing that is building those relationships with the kids. And I think I've done that throughout the summer. He's really good on testing me in terms of his amoeba defense, and I'm a big man-to-man guy, and so just kind of going back and forth on different strategies defensively. Offense is kind of to each his own. It kind of depends who you have. I mean, obviously, I don't get to recruit the kids to my school, so I got kind of have to blend my offense to who we have each and every year. But just different conversations with Bloomquist regarding defense, and then kind of how he structured practices. Obviously, coming from a 2A program to a 5A program. I never had to do fall conditioning at a 2A. All those kids usually did a fall sport. And so this year it's been really helpful getting with him, talking about the strength and conditioning part of it for the fall so that our boys can be better prepared for the winter.
Yeah, and you've had a few months now to build those relationships with the players. How have your early meetings gone with them? What have you guys been up to this off season?
Yeah, we've been in the gym 4 days a week, sometimes six, depending if we have a tournament on the weekend. It's been really good. That was kind of the key this summer is just building that relationship with the kids. And we had great attendance, easily averaged over 20, 24 guys in the gym each and every day. Sometimes a little bit less, 16, but then some days it'll be 27, 28. And so we've had really great numbers, and the guys that needed to be there, JV and varsity wise, have been there pretty regularly. We have a lot of great kids, not just basketball players. I mean, you'll be able to see that this winter, but kids that are easy to be around and easy to get along with. I mean, since I've started, I've had nothing but great interactions. I mean, obviously, there's young men that want to be playing basketball, might have aspirations of playing at the next level, and I'm doing whatever I can to help them do that. And I feel that they understand that at this point and know that like I said earlier, my door is always open, my phone's always on.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on it before. You're coming from a 2A school to a 5A school. You were at Wabunsee, another school interviewing area, for about 5 years. How do you kind of look back at your time with the other Chargers?
I have nothing but good things to say. The community around Wabunsee and the town of Alma, Maple Hill, Paxco, they did nothing but support their athletics. I think at a smaller school, especially like that, sports are a very big deal. You look at other schools like Rossville, St. Mary's, Silver Lake. It's sports are ingrained in that community, and is kind of what they hold dear to their heart. And so the booster club there, the families there, treated myself and my family phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to see what they do this year, because we had a lot of young pieces last year at Wabunsee. So I feel like if they can take that next step under Coach Klein, they should have a very good outing in the Flint Hills League next year.
Yeah. Is it kind of easy keeping the same mascot name? Don't worry about mixing it up.
Exactly. Different color mascot, saying "Go Chargers" never changed.
Yeah. And I mean, you yourself, you're a Kansas native, you're from McPherson. You stayed local for college and played here in Topeka at Washburn. Did you always know that you wanted to stay local to the Sunflower State post college?
Well, I met my wife in college, and so that was always a conversation that we had um, after college. I finished up after playing, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. My wife ended up working at Blue Cross, and she's been there since, and so it's been a phenomenal job for her. Um, we always felt that Topeka and Kansas, especially, have always been home. That's just because both my sisters now live here. My parents moved up here from McPherson; they live in Topeka, and so I have the my whole crew here. Um, so it's been nice. We had conversations about moving out of state, but it's for me, it's about the community and building relationships, and ultimately family. We definitely want to be close to them and be able to spend as much time as possible with them as we can.
Yeah. And speaking of Washburn, you played with the Bods in your college career. Now that you're here full time in Top City, do you think you're going to make your way out to some games this year?
Absolutely. I didn't get to play under Coach Ballard. He came 2 years after I left. So a couple of the guys I played with under Coach Chipman played under Ballard, and I've had some good conversations with Ballard since he's gotten the job. Um, and it's been fun keeping up with the son at Washburn Rural. I enjoyed doing that. But I definitely want to get out there and see some games. Definitely some new pieces, some guys that I coached when I was when they were younger in high school. Tyson Rudd will be a sophomore at Washburn this year. I got the opportunity to coach him for a summer. And then Levi Brown, who just graduated, I had the opportunity to coach him. So it's still some familiar faces for me. So it'll be nice to go in, kind of show my support for them, because ultimately we are both Topeka schools.
Yeah, and most of your coaching experience from your assistant days was in the Centennial League. You were at Washburn Rural and Hayden. Now you're in the UKC. How are you preparing for a new conference like that?
Yeah, so funny story about that is I actually started not first year as a coach, but I was a coach when the UKC was first originated at Shawnee Heights. And so, but I guess backstory in terms of like coaching and how I got into that is after college, I knew I wanted to coach, and I was lucky enough. Coach McAtee took me on at Washburn Rural, and that kind of just sparked a fire under me. Coach McAtee is an athletic director now in the Kansas City area. But I don't think I would have left so early if Coach McAtee would have stayed. I think I would have liked to learn under him at Washburn Rural. I enjoyed my time there. Once he took the job at in Kansas City, I ended up going to Topeka Hayden, which was almost a blessing in disguise because I got an opportunity to learn under Coach Head. And so Coach Head did a phenomenal job, not only in the X's and O's, but kind of he taught me that building that relationship with the players. And we had some really great players, Deshaun Hanika, Zach Harvey, Jet Canfield, that group. We were able to win a state championship in that year. But then after that, moving from the Centennial League, that's when I went to Shawnee Heights the first year for the UKC. The reason for the move from there is I knew I wanted to get into special education and couldn't do that at Hayden, unfortunately. So went to Shawnee Heights, started that career there, and got a chance to coach under Coach Darding. It was his first year at Shawnee Heights. So got to see how a coach like Darding helped kind of revitalize a program. I don't think I'm going to have to do that at Topeka West. We kind of have a good foundation here, thanks to Coach Bloomquist. But it was good to see just a different side of Darding when people mostly know him as winning these state championships. The court's named after him at Highland Park, and a lot of wins. Seeing how he got to that point is, I think, very important for young coaches.
Yeah. And what would you like Topeka West, fans, family members to know about your coaching style?
Highly energetic. I'm not demeaning. I wouldn't say I'm that. I am very demanding, and I think that's what I got from Coach Kinnaman. Is people always look at Coach Kinnaman, he has that stern scowl on his face. Maybe not as much anymore because he's getting a little more gray in his beard. But I like to think that they understand my intensity and how competitive I am, as not only when I was a player, but as I am a coach. And we talk quite a bit about there's two things that you can control as a basketball player, and that's your attitude and effort. We focus a lot on that. You're going to miss shots as a basketball player. You're going to have nights that the ball's just not going in the hoop. But the one thing you can do as your team, for your team, is get on the ground for loose balls, play your butt off on defense, and rebound. If you do those things, there's going to be minutes on the court for you to have. And so, in terms of coaching styles, I like to think my X's and O's is up to par with the other coaches in the UKC. I've mentioned to my players that basketball is very similar to a game of chess. You're trying to dissect what the other team's doing in the terms of their defense and offense philosophies and find the weaknesses in that. And so that's what we've kind of done with our offense, is create an offense where the players will have more than just one option. That takes high basketball IQ, but I think our players are up for the challenge.
Yeah, and more about the players for my final question. If you had to, still kind of early, not fully into the practice mode yet before the season starts, but knowing what you know about the guys so far, how would you describe what your team might look like this year?
We're long and we're very big. We have it's nice. I said it's nice when you go into a team meeting and me being 6'5", I have 4 or 5 guys who are looking at me. So we'll have a lot of length this year, and so me being a man-to-man kind of coach, it might make me rethink a little bit in terms of my defense philosophy if I want to switch things up just slightly. But I have a lot of great pieces. Obviously, Jalen Foy being a first-team UKC player coming back, Kiamani Paul, who I think is only going to be a junior, but man, that kid's ceiling is phenomenally high, and he's a great worker. And then I don't want to miss some of the other seniors that we have. Locke is also tenacious defensively and high basketball IQ type player. Javion Chambers is a do-it-all glue guy for us. He's very, very smart in the terms that he knows what he needs to do, and he picks up things the first time. And I got Jake Davis. I mean, a name that most people probably don't really know of. That's a senior, but man, is that kid a silent leader. He's at every workout. He's at the weights for football every single day. And he puts in the time that people know that I need to match his intensity every day, or I'm not going to be able to be where I need to be. So I have a good senior class. I have a really good junior class, and it's good seeing those freshmen and sophomores having to battle those guys every single day in practice.
Yeah, those are all names that we've called all last season. We know them well, and no doubt it's going to be fun to watch this year.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I've got for you, Coach Ulsaker this week. But thanks again so much for joining me. And every Wednesday, 6:45, 13 Sports Coach.